Hi everybody, I'm Igor Smirnov and here is the video lesson Breaking Stereotypes Part 2. In this video we will keep analyzing the common chess ideas which are not correct objectively. In the previous lesson we analyzed a pin of a knight on f6 by the white's bishop g5. In this lesson I'd like to analyze another topic which is closely connected. I mean an exchange on the f6 square, and white takes, bishop takes f6, and black has to recapture by the g-pawn. Of course, the same situation may happen for white, and the same situation may happen on the queen side as well. Then it will look like this. I mean, after an exchange, bishop takes c3 and white recaptured by the b-pawn. And certainly the general ideas will be the same for any of such situation. First, I'd like to tell you the general ideas about this topic, and after that we'll see how they work practically, so we will analyze different specific examples. Okay, here we go. What about this exchange? Bishop takes f6 and g takes. Usually chess players afraid to play such positions for black, because it seems like black has numerous weaknesses, a destroyed pawn structure, and his king is in the danger, and white will attack it in the center, and even if black makes castling, it will look like this. Even in this case, white will be able to develop a strong attack on the black's king. That's why a lot of players, especially amateur players, likes the move bishop takes f6 with an idea bishop takes f6 very much. In this lesson I'm going to show you why these ideas are often incorrect. So let's take a look at this position more thoroughly. After an exchange on f6, black actually got three quite huge advantages. The first one is a material advantage, because bishop is stronger than knight, and therefore, after an exchange bishop takes f6, black got a little material advantage, and black got two bishops advantage as well. Well, I mean that usually black has also the bishop on the c8. It is the first item. Now the second thing. After an exchange on the f6, black can bring the h8 rook into the game very easily. It's enough for black to make only one move, rook g8, and the bishop will become very active. It will be on the open file, it will pressure the white's g2 pawn, and of course it's a great achievement for black, because normally in a usual situation it's quite difficult to bring the h8 rook in the game somehow, especially in the early stage of game. In normal position, to activate the h8 rook, black needs to bring it into the center, then make some pawn exchange in the center, and only then the rook will be active. In the position which we can see right now on the screen, after an exchange on f6, black can develop the rook very easily in one move, and it's certainly great. It was the second advantage of an exchange on f6 for black. And the third advantage is that black can develop the f8 bishop very easily on the active square on h6. It's also great because black can develop the bishop in one move without any preparational moves. I mean, even if black has the pawn on the e7 or on the d6, there is no reason for black to worry about this bishop and to make preparational pawn moves like e6 or d5, because black will develop the bishop just in one move and will place it on the h6. Here the bishop will control the long diagonal, and it will create a very unpleasant pressure on the white's position, because after an exchange on the f6, white obviously hasn't a dark squared bishop. That's why white has no piece to protect his dark squares, and that's why the bishop from h6 will create a very powerful pressure on the white's position, and there will be no suitable possibility for white to neutralize this pressure. So these were the three main advantages for black of an exchange bishop takes f6, g takes f6. And now let's talk about the disadvantages. First, let's talk about the black's king. In fact, the black's king feels quite comfortable on its initial position on the e8 square. Usually black also has the pawn on the d zone or maybe on the d6, and therefore it's very well protected already. And black even may leave the king here on the e8 or maybe on the e zone, which is also good. And of course black still can make long castling, and again there will be no problem for black there. And the last thing, even if black makes short castling and place the king on the g8. On the g8 the king is really on the dangerous square and white can try to attack it. However, black can solve this problem very easily. So here is the black's castling. It's enough for black just to play king h8 and then rook g8. And after that everything is fine. The king is well protected. If necessary, black can play rook g-zone at any time to provide more protection to the h-zone pawn. And so finally you can see that in any case black has a lot of possibilities how to provide a safety position for his king. Therefore it's not really a problem for black and it's not a drawback of the black's position. Okay, let's go back and now we'll discuss the black's pawn structure. Here also everything is not that simple. At the first sight it looks like the black's pawn structure is broken and black has a lot of weaknesses. Nevertheless, if we take a look at these three pawns in the center, we can see that this pawn complex is pretty powerful. It controls a lot of important central squares, and all the pawns are quite well protected. Black can protect the f6 pawn even by the king, by playing king e-zone. At any time, black can play f6, f5, and after that, these three pawns will protect each other, and there will be no possibility for white to attack them. Now we come to the interesting point. So finally, what is the drawback of the black's position? The drawback is the pawn on h7. It is the only real weakness in the black's position, and it is the only real object of an attack for white. By the way, a lot of players don't understand it. It means that white should concentrate his pieces against the h-zone pawn. And of course, mainly white will use his heavy pieces. Okay, I'll now give some more pieces for white. Okay, let's say white has something like that. How can white attack the h-zone pawn? Of course, there are three main possibilities. White can play queen h5. It's one idea. Another idea, white can bring the queen to the g file or to the h6 square. Something like this, queen d2 and then queen h6, or maybe queen g5. And after that, white will also attack the h-zone pawn, and the queen may try to penetrate the black's territory. The queen may try to go to the g-zone square and attack the black's rook and the black's pawns. This is the one typical maneuver. Another typical one is the transferring of the rook using the third rank. I mean, an idea rook e3 and then rook h3. After that, the rook will attack the h-zone pawn, which is the main weakness in the black's position. So this is what actually white should do here. Okay, now let's take a look at the concrete examples and we'll see how these ideas work practically.